Today I'm just going to do a random mix of observations that I've made along the way. Note, the term observation means something that I am seeing with my eyes. You may not see them with your eyes, and it's not evidence of anything. Call it an opinion if you like. So let's get into it, in no particular order. Shout out to Phil on X for the discussion that we had on UTC and GMT time. No matter which software you're using, whether it's Cellbrite and downloading data off of your phone, or your security cameras connected to a service like Ring.com, all timestamps are recorded by all computers as UTC time. It stands for Universal Coordinated Time, and it's the baseline that the whole world uses. Now, some of my subs have noticed when I screenshot something from X that it's a day ahead in time. And that's because the Twitter servers will store the timestamp as UTC, which all computers do. And then when I use my browser on my computer, which has the time setting localized to Australia, the browser then takes the UTC time and converts it into Australian time. And that's what you see in my Twitter post, the converted, via a little formula, timestamp. In America, you might know your local time as Pacific, Mountain, Central, or Eastern, for example. The world has a lot of time zones, but the UTC time is how local time is calculated. And the reason I'm giving you this tech talk is because if you look at the fake timestamps, you'll notice they're in GMT, which stands for Greenwich Meridian Time. Until about 1972, I think, or thereabouts, GMT was the international standard of civil time, but it's now been replaced with UTC, although some of us in the southern hemisphere still refer to GMT occasionally. It's still a more localized type of time stamp. The point is, we are supposed to be looking at a forensic analysis of the Sallyport footage, and in that case it should be in UTC time, -5 for localization. So, if these timestamps were genuinely from the embedded timestamp of the security system, then they should be reading UTC -5, not GMT -5. While I was studying the obviously manually localized time in the timestamps, I also observed this little nugget. This timestamp tells us that the tow truck came in at 5:30, and you'll notice as it drives by that there's quite a build-up of snow on the windowsills, if that's what you call them on a car, but that little bump under the window. But then when it pulls into the Sallyport garage, that build-up of snow seems to have already been knocked off. And I've already pointed out that that snow appears to be already on the Sallyport garage floor before they show Karen's car being pulled in. If you watch Court TV's footage, you can see where a little bit more snow falls off the door when it's closed. It might be something or it might be nothing, but we'll just call it an observation for now. Nick Rocco also makes a great observation, and we'll listen to that next.
So now let's move to Dighton. When they say, Adam Lally in one of his pre-trial hearings says, Yuri Buchanan and Michael Proctor arrived in Dighton at 4:30. Well, they got caught in a lie because the Alarm.com footage shows that this vehicle is on the tow truck by 4:17. The reason why they said Michael Proctor got there at 4:30 would mean he wouldn't have enough time to get to Canton to plant any evidence. But the interesting thing about that is they changed the time to say, oh, he got there at 3:30, and guess what? At 3:04 p.m., before Michael Proctor even got there to see this vehicle, they already had called in a dispatch to have the tow truck come out. The tow truck arrives at 3:27 and leaves Dighton at 4:17. It arrives in Canton at 5:30.
So, the tow truck literally did turn up at 5:30, but they also had to jiggle all the other timestamps to match Proctor's story that he wasn't left alone with the car long enough to be able to break the taillight and plant the evidence. I think defence will be able to join these dots a little better for the jury when it's their turn on direct. And in particular, when they can directly examine Trooper Proctor, because it's pretty obvious that the reports have all been proctored. Okay, for the next observation, I'm going to put the CCTV footage on the screen, and then we're going to look for these little ghostly apparitions that appear. Right there is a good example. See that? Let's play it again in slow motion this time so we can get a better idea of what's going on. Unfortunately, all of the software on my Mac is currently too high quality to recreate this issue. On my old Windows 98 laptop, I could easily recreate it, but it's currently packed away right now. So you're just going to have to take my word for it that reducing the quality of the video right down really low is what causes this issue. So whatever software they use to strip the quality of these videos is actually old software. Now, I'm not sure if you can see the timestamp there because the cameraman didn't get his focus sorted out, but it looks to me like it says 5:36. But watch the seconds tick over. It says 5:36 and then 59 seconds, 60 seconds, it should say 5:37, but it's still saying 5:36. What the hell is that? There's obviously a lot of other issues with that video that many of you have already noticed, so I'm not going to go into those. Let me just point out though, all the previous footage that I have strung together out of the trial, which you will find in my previous videos, there were pauses and skips that the tech person was physically doing during testimony, and that's because they had to find the relevant parts of the video that matched what that witness was testifying to. When I strung it together, I tried to match the timestamps, but there are gaps missing where they either switched to another file or fast forwarded through footage, and we didn't get to see it. This Sallyport footage is the first time they've just played it all the way through and we've had no pausing and fast forwarding or anything like that happening. So it's just good to note that the previous videos did have skips and things that were produced during the trial. So all those other videos that I've produced are not good examples if you're looking for skips in the video. Unless you're looking at the actual trial footage and you take note of where the tech person is hitting the pause and the fast forward, the rewind and opening a new file, etc., you're probably going to be barking up the wrong tree. The next one, we're going to switch gears a bit and go to the bits and pieces they found on the lawn, in particular the hat. So let's just tune in to what they say about this particular image first.
Exhibit 526. And Sergeant, from this photograph, what if anything are we looking at here?
This photograph here depicts the area which we are excavating during the morning hours of February 3rd, 2022. As the shovel works its way towards the grass.
Sir, on what planet is the grass black? Please.
My laser pointer is directing your attention to Mr. O'Keefe's hat that was compacted underneath the snow on the ground.
Is he gaslighting us, or does that look like bitumen to you?
For the record, this is Exhibit 530. And again, Sergeant, if you could describe to the jury what we're looking at here.
We're looking at Mr. O'Keefe's hat on the grass.
Yeah, that's grass. But what you showed us before is not grass. So this image here is bitumen. And this image here is grass. WTF? Well, that's all I've got for now, but I'm sure there's going to be more. We might have to call it a series. You can't believe your own lying eyes. Anyway, toodaloo.